This week, downtown Evansville will be hosting the Ohio Valley Conference men's and women's basketball championships. So what kind of impact do these big sports tournaments have on our region? We'll talk about that next on WNIN Newsmakers. Welcome to WNIN Newsmakers. I'm Jessica Costello, evening news anchor for Eyewitness News. This week, Ford Center will play host to the OVC basketball championships, flooding the streets of Evansville with fans from up to 16 colleges. Here to talk about what kind of impact having those visitors here is Brandon McClish, Executive Director of the Evansville Regional Sports Commission, and thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure you're busy.
Yes, we're not quite on the full busy, but we're still in the planning stages that we've been doing for the previous year. And very excited for the week here in Evansville.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into the excitement of all these tournaments, for those that may not know what the Sports Commission does, let's talk about that and what region that you all cover.
Yeah, so we are a part of Evansville Regional Economic Partnership. Originally, we were a sports corporation and it was standalone. And then in 2022, we merged in with the EREP to make us a sports commission. And what my job is to do is bring high-level sporting events into Evansville. And what that signifies is everything from college to professional to national championships of some sort. In our resume, we obviously have the Ohio Valley Tournament that brings in just under $1 million every year. I don't even know what week it is because it all runs together.
Right.
In February, we had the Great Lakes Valley Conference Swim and Dive Championship and the Missouri Valley Swim and Dive Championship at the Deaconess Aquatic Center. Those two combined brought in, I think, $1.1 million in economic impact. Swimming is always great because basketball tournaments, they come and then they lose, they leave. Swimming and diving, they stay. So we had 456 kids for GLVC here from Monday to Saturday staying in hotel rooms. So that's what our job is to do, is bring economic impact. Our ROI is what we bring in back into the economy just as much as what we bring in through a ticket gate.
Absolutely. Now, you in particular haven't been in this position for the longest time, but you have a lot of background in the sports world too. So I want to talk about your background and how you're enjoying this position.
This is great. This is the first time I've never cheered for a team per se. I went to University of Southern Indiana, so I've been USI my entire college career, but then I started with the Evansville Otters and did 5 seasons with the Otters with Bill Bussing, who's the greatest human being in Evansville history. Moving from there, did a couple other little things. Actually was a part of the team at Empire Contractors that built USI's arena and did all the marketing for that, but I was always the person with the softest hands and loudest socks on a job site because I don't know how to swing a hammer. And then I moved into, I was a general manager of Purple Aces Sports Properties, and for the previous last 5 seasons, I was at UE doing all sports marketing for them, from signage, social media, helping a lot with that, and overseeing that. And now I am on the economic impact side, which is where I've always wanted to be. And I left a dream job at the University of Evansville for a dream opportunity. And I don't work. In 12 years I've worked in sports. It's not work. I get to go to the Ford Center for 12 hours a day over the next few days and get to watch college basketball.
That's the kind of attitude that somebody so passionate about what they do needs to have a great outcome too with these tournaments.
Yes, absolutely.
We were talking about, though, it is a team effort of sorts. You don't have a huge team, but there are other people involved. What does that look like?
Yeah, so when it was a corporation, it was a lot of, as I said, standalone. We had to utilize so many corporate partners to survive, which are great. The Evansville community and our local organized communities are great. But having EREP being a part of this, we now have a full team. So we have the marketing team of Abby, Ashley, and Shanda doing a lot of things for us. And then Kaylee Mays, who's our director of events, who is the best director of events in what Lloyd Winnicky says in 200-mile radius. She now oversees the student. I've called her the director of student athlete experience. So we have enhanced what we were able to do for the student athletes that are come here, and Kaylee's been great. So I get to focus on making sure that this is line, this, and this, and she takes that, and that. So it's been a great partnership, and then the entire team over EREP is great.
I'm sure there's a lot that goes into these events, and I want to touch on that too, but I want to focus right now on this week. Ford Center is hosting OVC basketball championships. What does that look like to put on, and how many teams are coming, how many people are you expecting? And I mean, I'm sure it's a beast of an event.
So it's a year-long process. I mean, we start planning this the day after it starts last year. So we have 16 teams coming, 8 men's, 8 women's throughout the Ohio Valley Conference. It is what's really great about it, it's a dual championship. So we will be hosting a men's championship and a women's championship on the same day. A lot of conferences don't do that, like Missouri Valley, which I was part of for so long. They have the men's championship in one city and the women's in another. We are hosting 2 in the city of Evansville. So it's great from that standpoint. And then also, we are the first ticket punched into the NCAA tournament. Awesome. So whoever wins this tournament on Saturday for the women and men, besides USI, because that's a whole different way because they're still in the process, Division I. But needless to say, they will be the first tickets into the NCAA March Madness. So it's really cool that the city of Evansville gets to host something like that. And this city is structured and built with Ford Center, with Deaconess Aquatic Center, with the hotels, with everything to host these high-level events.
How many years has Evansville hosted this event? And if not, or you can touch on that as well, but how many years in the future is it scheduled to? Or are you guys trying to work that out still?
Well, if you're listening, Beth and Greg, let's go ahead and extend that contract. So we started in 2018, so mathematically this is year 7. COVID always changes every year around.
Right.
So we're in year 7, and we have 25 and 26 and then 27 for the option just because of the contracts. But Beth DeBush and Greg Walter at the Ohio Valley Conference love Evansville. They love being here. They love all of our hotel partners. They love our local organizing committee. It was started by Pete Paradosi, Steve Schaefer, and Jim Sangren. We have a fantastic team of community partners to make sure that this is all done well. It is locally sponsored by United Fidelity Bank, so which is great. So we have local ties to a regional tournament. So it's a collaborative effort, and I just get to be the facilitator of it.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Absolutely, yes.
And you don't have to go into too much detail with this, but whatever you know, I mean, this is a really important part of this. Other than just the tournament being here, you talk about these numbers with the money it's bringing in, the people that it's bringing in that may have never been to Evansville. What does the economic impact look like for an event like this?
Yeah, so it ranges depending, because this has actually been one of the best. When, I don't know, John Morant was there in 2018, 2019, we had 10,000 people at Ford Center, which was great. So that was when Murray State was a part of it. So that was at the highest, and that was probably hitting like the $2 million range. On a typical year, we're between about $750,000 and $1 million for this 4 days that they will be in Ford Center. So that includes each team comes and brings their entire team, so a party of about 25. That's a minimum of 2 hotels. We use 12 different hotel properties. I just got an email today that 2 of our hotels are blocked out from a fan standpoint. So Morehead State, for example, brings a lot of fans in. So that is coming in for 2-3 days. And the best part about it is when you stay in a hotel, that means you're not eating at the hotel. You're eating at all of our restaurants, and you're going to Eastland Mall or the zoos and museums because the games are only for a certain period of time. So it's really exciting from that standpoint. And Evansville has so many attractions to be able to do numerous things.
Absolutely. I think about Main Street and the small businesses that we have down there too, that people might just be, the foot traffic that they might be having just to go into a shop and maybe purchase an item or two is so big if that customer wasn't expected for the day. So it truly does have a big economic impact. But are there indirect impacts that we might not be thinking about, or what would you say those are?
So the indirect is just the community gets, and Tyler Stock speaks at the EREP, talks about this so much, it is quality of place, quality of life, and talent retention. So yes, a Berry Global, which is Fortune 300 company, or Old National Bank, I'm just going around these businesses that are in Evansville, we are now providing something for those employees to be able to do, and continuing to have this because we have the Ohio Valley this week, and then 3 weeks we have the NCAA Division II Elite Eight. We have things at the Ford Center, at Deaconess Aquatic Center. It is all about continuing the quality of life and quality of place of Evansville, which is the ultimate goal, because that's not only driving economic impact directly, but indirectly, because we have people want to come here. They want to stay here. We have, we work remotely, so we have the work remotely program that Ashley and Abby and E is for Everyone's doing. So therefore, providing those tickets for those groups to, when they are here, to continue to stay here. So there's a lot of indirect portions of it, and that's what's been great about working with EREP and so many acronyms, because we're the Evansville Regional Sports Commission, part of the Evansville Regional Economic Partnership. And,
it's
and
a
so
lot
many,
to say.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you bring up EREP, and of course, this is probably the same way the Sports Commission is thinking. What do you all hope that the visitors take home? Whether it's about the city of Evansville, or maybe visiting again with their family, or maybe, like you said, even moving here, if that's an option for them. What is the takeaway?
The takeaway is exactly what you nailed and said, is wanting them to give them the best experience possible. Yeah. And yes, for a student athlete, they came here and we rolled out the red carpet for them, for example, and they may have a degree in nursing or something like that. So they want to, well, I loved Evansville, so maybe they want to come back here and work at Deaconess or Ascension or in financial category, which we have so many of, and be able to just continue to do that from the student athlete experience. But then secondly is we want to showcase everything we have in Evansville. So we're all within regional cities, and that's what's great about the Ohio Valley Conference, is it's within a few-hour drive. A couple will fly in for whatever reasons, and Little Rock, for example, is a little bit further. But continuing to know that we do that, and then also to showcase that we are capable of hosting the Ohio Valley Tournament. So that means we're capable of hosting NCAA tournaments and different conference tournaments. We're in conversations with the Missouri Valley a lot about different things, the Horizon Conference, Great Lakes Valley Conference, River States Conference, there's too many acronyms, and continuing to build our resume.
Absolutely. Well, what about other events? Because obviously the one we're talking about now is not the only one that the Sports Commission oversees. And what does that impact look like when you continuously bring in these sporting events or these tournaments to our region? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, well, expect big things from the Sports Commission.
Oh, yeah.
I was, during my interviewing process, I shot for the stars, and that's my intentions. I will I'll go on camera saying right now, I hound the Savannah Bananas. I have actually driven up to Indy to find the owner to introduce myself again, because I have called and texted and emailed, and we are in conversations, very preliminary. The problem with it, they got so big so quick, so now they're playing at Wrigley Field and Fenway Park and things like that. So come on back down to historic Bosse Field. So starting there, and then really want to get into volleyball. I think volleyball is an untapped market in this area, and Indianapolis is jumping on because they're just starting to build a professional team. Then just capitalizing everything from a youth standpoint and what Explore Evansville does with their sports complexes and Gable, and see how we can just highlight off of it. So we're every day looking and trying to find the new
What's
things.
Next?
Yes,
Yeah.
BMX. Burnett Park has one of the best BMX outdoor parks you can find. We just need to utilize it better.
Absolutely. Now, that all sounds exciting, but you sparked my interest with the Savannah Bananas, so we'll have to stay on top of that
Absolutely,
and figure out
yes.
what's happening there.
Yes.
All right, so if people want to learn more about what you do, maybe even how they can get involved, because I know you guys do ask for volunteers
Absolutely, yes.
on days that the tournaments are here. So how can people get involved?
Yeah, so EREP's website, which is, I should know it off the top of my head.
EVBregion.com, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
now you slash the Sports Commission. We've actually incorporated all of that. There's a link on there for tickets for this tournament. There's tickets for the NCAA tournament, and then there are opportunities to volunteer, and you click on that. We're always looking for volunteers because it is fun to work in sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to be the envy of all my friends as we do that. So the marketing team at EREP has done a fantastic job of incorporating to make sure that we are cohesive as possible. So anything, if you go to the EREP website, we're a link off of that.
Perfect. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome to a special WNIN Newsmakers segment that highlights local businesses. Joining us today is Brad Niemeyer, founder of AZIP Pizza. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us about the products and services, obviously pizza, but that you have at your business.
Yeah, so AZIP's a personal pizza company. So we have all personal sized pizzas, have an 8-inch and 11-inch crust, and then several other specialty type crusts like the cauliflower, the zero carb crust. And we come into AZIP and you build it right in front of you and make it exactly how you want it. And you can say light green pepper or extra mushrooms or however you want to make that. We make it right in front of you and then bakes in 2.5 minutes. Pick it up on the other side, pay for your pizza, and then you're ready to go.
And out the door you go. And you have other things besides pizza, right?
I mean, yeah, we have zip sticks and garlic cheese sticks, some breadstick kind of options, and then have cinnamon sticks, and some of the favorites are the cookies. Chocolate chunk cookies are a crowd favorite.
I think I finished one of my grandsons when we were there, and it was pretty good. So how long have you been in business? But I also really like how you got started. So tell us about that.
Yeah, started with an idea I had in college. So I went to Purdue, did hospitality and tourism management, and was getting a certificate in entrepreneurship. And I did the business plan competition there, and with the idea for AZIP, and won that, and won $20,000 to go towards starting a business. So it's a great motivation and push to go out and actually try to do it right out of college. So came back here to Evansville and started the first one on the west side in 2014. So that makes us 10 years old just this month.
Wow, that's exciting. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you having a big celebration for that?
We did. We already had it, actually. Yep,
okay.
yep. Had it at the beginning of the month, did $2.14 West Cider pizzas, and it was a crazy day.
Well, what made you decide to start in Evansville?
Yeah, this is where I'm from. From Evansville. I was born and raised here. Just have so many connections and family and friends, and so it felt like that was the best place for me, just to come back here and do it here, and really felt like, especially at the time, could stand out and be unique and different in Evansville, and help bring some new, fun ideas to the Evansville restaurant scene.
Well, what was it like, or what did you have to do to try and figure out how to make pizzas in 2 minutes?
That's where we leaned on Chef Blake. So Chef Blake, my partner in AZIP, Chef Blake Kelker, he really helped develop that recipe to where the dough could cook that quickly. So, it's a certain oven that's blowing hot air on the top and bottom. And so we knew we wanted it to be simple for the employees to operate, but then can turn out that consistent product. So he did a great job developing the recipe, and we went through a lot of different iterations before we got to where we are.
So it wasn't just the special oven, it was also the special dough, is what you're saying.
And that's the reason we went with thin crust. I mean, Evansville is a thin crust town, but also it cooks the quickest. So that's kind of a nice double edge there, that we can get both of those things.
Well, you say Evansville's a thin crust town. How did you know that? What kind of research?
Well, I mean, I guess that's all just anecdotal. I grew up in Evansville, and that was what I grew up eating. The party cut, the Torronis and the Kipley's, and the all those the Una pizza restaurants that all were that influence of the thin crust.
Right, that would be my favorite also. But I mean, I know there are some deep dish, but I think you're right. Most of it is thin crust. So what was it like starting off with $20,000? I mean, I could see in a way where it seemed like, wow, this is a lot, but was it?
It went farther back then. So 10 years ago, it went a lot farther, it seemed like. But no, I mean, it seemed like a lot of money to a freshly graduated college student, but it went quick. So we put that to use and got some help from my parents, got some investment from them, and then were able to get a bank loan for the rest of it and kind of scrape it all together. And a lot of sweat equity and a lot of hard work getting that first one going.
Well, was that, coming up with that plan and winning the $20,000, was that a whole different trajectory for you? I mean, had you originally planned on doing something else, or?
Yeah, I thought, I'd get in a hospitality degree. I thought I'd get out of college and go work in another restaurant and manage a restaurant and, work my way up, and then eventually maybe one day do something on my own. But it kind of really accelerated things. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, and she shared a quote with me: "If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough." And that really stuck with me as, this was different. This was scary. This was something that all my friends weren't doing, but, maybe that's why I should try to do it.
Sure. No, it's really exciting. How do you see the business growing, expanding in the future?
Yeah, I think, I really see AZIP being a very regional business. Talk about the thin crust, and the Midwest is a thin crust kind of area, and continue to grow and expand in this area. I'd love to be all within like a 3-hour drive of Evansville. To be able to really go to those stores and see those stores in person and make that a day trip kind of is a great way to grow the business. So, I look at like In-N-Out and the way they grew. They grew one store at a time close by where they could be there, they could see the product, they could make sure they were doing things right. And that's how I want to grow AZIP.
So you said, I think you have 11 locations, is that correct? So where are they? How far are they?
Yeah, so the farthest one is in Lafayette now, which got some special ties to Lafayette with Purdue. So made a little exception there, but then Indianapolis and Bloomington and Terre Haute. And then we have Owensboro and Bowling Green, Kentucky, as well as Evansville and Newburgh.
Now, how do you pick where to put your pizza locations?
I think it started with gut feel a lot. You don't know what you don't know. And so I think that kind of is how we started. But now we try to get a little bit more analytical about it, looking at the demographics. We really liked those mid-sized markets when we first started expanding. Felt like Evansville kind of going to those smaller markets. And then, now we've started to get into the Indianapolis market, and that's a whole different ball game.
Well, I'm sure. And well, I could see also where maybe being in close proximity to a college would be an asset as well.
Yeah, we love having the college students in. It's hard to rely on them for all your business, with them, out of school, they're out Christmas break, summer break,
Right.
Fall break, spring break. There's a lot of times
breaks.
a lot of breaks. A lot of times we're not there. So we like where they have access to us, but we don't necessarily want to go on campus where we kind of are reliant on them all year.
Right. I could see where that would be a little dicey. Yeah. What challenges have you faced with your business, and how did you overcome obstacles?
Oh, there's a lot out there, that's for sure. I think that first challenge of getting open, there's just so many kind of hurdles you have to jump over, and just trying to take things one step at a time. Originally I looked at going on campus in West Lafayette when we started looking, and had a space that we really liked, and kind of went down the road with the landlord, and then ended up being, she felt I was too young, just out of college, didn't have the experience, which granted is a valid excuse, but it didn't work out. And then so those are some of the challenges you kind of face when you're trying to start a business. And but COVID obviously was another big one. Changed the way we do business, and you mentioned some long wait times there when you first ordered online during COVID, and I think those are some challenges we had to work through, but we're better now because of it, and I think we've added the online ordering, and added a lot of back make lines and ovens to be able to accommodate those orders now.
So, talking about COVID, how did it change even hiring? I mean, are you still working, is that still an obstacle?
AZIP is very fortunate. We've got a great team, and we've got a lot of really good employees. The average employee stays at AZIP for 2 years. When you compare that to Chipotle's national average, it's only about 8 months. So, about 3 times longer, which is really an asset that we've been able to do. And I think that's by taking care of our teams, paying well, having a great environment to work in, and all those little things add up.
Oh, I would agree. What do you think is the most gratifying aspect of your business?
Oh, it's seeing the customers in there and loving the product, and getting, say, kids in that don't like red sauce, and they've got other options to pick from, or somebody with a gluten allergy and they can eat AZIP because we have those options. And so I think it's being able to satisfy the customer and seeing them love the pizza is a lot of fun.
What about, I just want to throw in out there, how did you come up with the name AZIP? And was it like a brainstorming session, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it's got to give all the credit to my mom. Actually,
really?
Yep, Mom came up with it. We were driving in the car one day, and she's talking about the name. She said, "What's pizza spelled backwards?" And we kind of sounded it out, A-Z-Z-I-P, AZIP. It's pizza in a zip, it's quick. And then I was like, oh, that's it. And so I did a quick Google search of any other AZIP pizzas out there, and there weren't.
Oh my gosh.
We have the trademark for it nationally, and so yeah, it's a really cool.
Well, who knew? Thanks to Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us and sharing it with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks to our guests for joining us today. Next week, we'll look at all the new things happening at Wesselman Woods. I'm Jessica Costello, evening news anchor for Eyewitness News. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.